Hey, everybody. We are here with a different style of podcast. We are doing this from home and not our normal set. We have David here with us. David is going to be one of our new members with Shadows Abound. He's been on a couple podcasts and a couple of adventures with us so far, but this is his actual introduction to the channel. So we are going to be doing a podcast with you, sir. How you doing?
Very good. A little bit tired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you on that. So why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself as far as the world of paranormal and what you're into and kind of how you got involved and everything.
Yeah, I got you. So pretty much my introduction to the paranormal world. I was young. It was during a hurricane. Actually, no, it wasn't even that one. It goes all the way back to where I was like, say, about 7 years old. Uh, just going through our neighborhood park. We can get into the cemetery that's near my house, and me and a group of friends decided to go there at night and witness the lady in white in that cemetery.
Hmm.
Um, Growing up, it just things tend to happen and whatnot. Moved to Richmond for the wife, married while working at Kroger a couple of years. She introduced me to Chris. Chris and I started talking and hit it off the back real quick on paranormal stuff, and that's when he invited me to go and do an investigation, see how I do. And that one night is when I learned I have a gift.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, it's what I call ghost drawing. I can see images within my hand, or just not really me drawing it. It's more of like a spirit guide drawing what he's seeing.
So
Um,
so basically,
Still learning.
ghost scribing, basically, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
still learning it. It still got to process on how to control it, how to get it better, and all that.
Yeah, I mean that can be a lifelong process. So just like
Yeah,
being a human. So
definitely.
Yeah, I mean it takes
What
time
else?
with anything you're learning, especially with any kind of gifts that you might have. Like Chris and I definitely have different skills that we both each either share or have differently that I know that I still discover stuff all the time with myself, and I'm sure he does too. But there's things that I've been working on for years trying to figure out and do. Like for me, ghost scribing, I think I've done that like one time, and I haven't been able to do it again, or it hasn't come to me at all. So, um, you know, with you having that, and having it all the time, that's you're lucky with stuff like that because, like I said, I've only had it happen once, and I barely remember it. So,
Yeah. I mean, half of the times I can barely remember what I drew.
hmm,
Most of the times I'm basically just like an image burned into my mind, and if I don't draw it out, it stays there. So it
hmm.
feels like something's like just attaches itself to me in a way for me to see it. And if I don't draw it out, it stays there type of feeling.
So imagery wise, you basically are stuck with a certain image until you get it out. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've already been on a couple adventures with us, like you said. You joined Chris and I on a couple different ones so far. Um, we are definitely having some fun with you on board. The last one we went to was pretty sweet. I think we did a live on Halloween. Was the last thing that we did so far, and a handful of those before that. So let's say, we've done Middleton Coal Mines, Dale Cemetery. Um, we have done finally the Cabin on 360, which is in our works of editing and getting put out. Where else have we gone with David?
his very first one was Hollywood Cemetery.
Hollywood Cemetery. We did that.
Out of all of them, I would say Hollywood Cemetery and Cabin on 360 were the biggest.
Yeah. How do you feel about joining us as far as getting into the paranormal, going into an investigation, seeing how we do things from beginning to the end, and how do you feel about all that so far?
Yeah, like how do you feel you fit in? How are you feeling that you mesh with us?
Okay, so honestly, the first time I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure what I would be expecting. Um, the first time that we had actually worked together, there was a lot of things going on. We were learning some new things. Of course, it was all for, personal experience. And then now it's like we go out, we know what to look for, how to say, hey, I heard something up over here, or I saw something over here, or I'm feeling like anything that's out of the ordinary in certain spaces. But working with y'all, it's more fun and a learning experience. Like we'll go out, we'll bullshit here and there, of course, but we're more serious when we do it because we're trying to get answers. We're trying to get um, God, I might go for it.
You're fine.
We're basically just getting evidence. We're trying to get evidence of the other side. We're trying to learn as we go with like our gifts. We're still learning on that. But it's basically every time we go out, it's a learning experience. We're learning history of the area, what happened, who was there, all that sort of stuff. And it actually made me more of like wanting to be a history buff on these locations because we learn more about the location, we can get more of the experience.
Yeah, I mean we definitely try not to do it like other normal YouTube people would do. You got your Sam and Colby's and people that are there very much the entertainment factor. Quick
Yeah,
edits, fast this, fast that, just to get your eyes on it, and it could be like an hour long video with 10 minutes of actual stuff. We don't try and do that. We try and be light and be hearty and be ourselves, but we're also very serious on what we do. We try to research things like you're saying, learn about the history, learn about the area spiritually and also history and physically and everything, and try and mesh it all together. A lot of people don't try and do that. They just want to get there for the factor of, hey, look at me, look at this, look what we're doing. We're not really into that. So, you jumping on board, seeing how we do it, I definitely would say for me that we mesh well pretty well, and we've enjoyed having you with us. Chris can say what he wants to say, but I mean, at least for me, we've enjoyed having you so far.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a brothership, if this was a pea pod, you'd be the third pea in the pod, you know what I mean? The fact that there's like a third person with a different thought process and different way of viewing things, you know what I mean? Different perspective, that helps. A different way of looking at some of the phenomenon or a way of nitpicking something to make sure it's not just our head making it up, or if it's something that happens and we want to make sure you can not manufacture it, that it's happening all on its own. It's good to have you there because, again, like I said, third set of eyes, have three different things to compare to. So
yeah, definitely.
it all makes it
Because
better.
after a while, like I already consider y'all as brothers. If I need like any help or whatnot, like what I'm dealing with already, um, which again, it's getting better. I got a better stage and all that. It's getting a whole lot better. Um, but yeah, if y'all need anything, y'all can contact me. I'll do what I can, or vice versa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we'll say with some of the places we've gone to, um, you've already kind of seen some of the stuff that other people have not seen in years of investigating or years of doing stuff. Chris and I have a knack of opening up areas of experience that, we've been with people that have been in the field for like 20 years and they never heard of it or don't understand how we got into it, or I don't know. It's just like Chris and I have always had a gift of knowing where stuff is at or what's going on, or how to get in contact with stuff. And I think the Halloween special, you had definitely some surprises that happened. And I think you got a little taste of how things can go in different pockets and different areas. Why don't you talk a little bit about so Dale Cemetery, right? We were doing our Halloween live, which is something we have on our Facebook, and we'll put the description down on the video for this, so you guys can go on there and join us, whoever watches, and that way you can kind of see our lives and stuff. But we're gonna go and take some footage we did that night, and chop it up, and make a video out of it too, so people who missed it can see it. But anyway, why don't you talk a little bit about that night? Talk about what it felt like being in different areas of the cemetery, and how one moment you could feel calm and collective, the next moment shit kind of goes crazy, the next moment you're having something literally like attached to you. Why don't you talk a little bit about how that feels?
All right, so I'll leave the attached part for last because that is like a whole huge experience. When we first arrived, like going straight through the gates, instantly hard, like something was heavy on your chest, made it hard to breathe. You can feel that pressure just weighing down on you. And normally I would be like nervous, like, okay, what's going on and whatnot. I was actually more excited because I could feel, all right, we're going to be getting things happening here and there. That one mausoleum, yeah, mausoleum. I have a small speech impediment. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Very good.
One mausoleum that we went to where I used the grid, and me and Chris had like seen something kind of like poke its head around the corner and whatnot. Um, that was a little bit of a fun experience. I do kind of wish that we could have gotten some of that on video, but even for personal use of like just seeing it, it gets you excited for all right, what's to come. Um, when we went over to, I guess it was like the double mausoleum where we heard that huge bang.
Okay, yeah.
It sounded like I heard something.
Yeah.
That was just it's, I wasn't even expecting that, and y'all went one way, I went the other. We just both circled that thing, like trying to find out where it was, and not a single piece of anything to show what made that noise.
Yeah.
That was a loud freaking bang. And then over at that one um, gravestone that had the cross light,
Yeah.
did kind of feel a little bit of something coming from that woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it had me on a high alert of what was going on. While we were talking, of course, I did like the fact that it was using the cross light
To communicate.
in a way of communicating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's
So I'm kind of wondering if we should get something like that and see if that could help with more evidence.
that'd be a good idea. I mean, it's the first time that we've been communicated with through solar.
Yeah.
I have never in my life ever seen it on any other paranormal channel, any other paranormal group. I don't think I've even heard of it through anybody else. And somehow, again, Chris and I, no matter where we go, find a knack of something new, something different. It's like we're like bloodhounds almost. We can smell where stuff is at. It just takes us there.
Yep.
And we somehow go to a gravestone that has a solar cross on it. So basically it's a light, right, of a cross that has a solar panel on top, and it would blink with us as we were asking questions.
Yeah.
So it would go off completely. It wouldn't turn on.
No.
And then randomly, as we start talking, it starts blinking. So we were like, maybe it's trying to talk to us. So we have it all on footage. So when we put it out there, everybody can see it.
And we didn't notice it the first couple minutes too. So
No.
it wasn't like something we were trying to force to happen.
No,
But it was when you and I were sharing the spirit box, talking to it.
Yeah,
Both of us held it.
It was like kind of happening a couple times, and then finally one of us was like, "Wait a minute, that's going with our questions."
Yeah, and I want to say the other guy that's not with us, Save,
Mm.
he was the one that first noticed it and got our attention to it. He's like, "Hey, that's lighting up like it's answering you,"
Yeah.
and then we all put our attention on it.
Yeah. Like at first, I thought that it was like just small malfunction, but it would cut off for like a couple of minutes and then cut back on and just stay on for a while. Like, okay, how?
I mean, things happen all the time that we can't explain or nobody can really explain. It just happens. So, it's kind of normal in the field a little bit. I will say that we've been there a couple times so far, and we did one of our first videos on our YouTube channel of it. It's a wild place. Stuff can happen at any moment. And going to the last portion of the last thing, we went to a different area, and we came upon a tree with a bench. And as we walked up to it, all of us started feeling weird, awkward, like we could tell something was there. And I'm trying to remember completely that night, but I want to say I think we heard like a growl out of thin air that was next to us.
Yeah.
And we were all kind of like, what was that? And then Chris and I started seeing in the spirit like a very demonic entity that kind of roamed that area.
Yep.
And started messing with you a little bit.
Well, I did because at that tree and bench, I sat down to basically, get the feel of it and everything, and I meditated with it. And at one moment, I felt something touch my left arm, and when I went to look, that's when you asked me if I felt something touch my arm, because you said that it looked like a great hand.
Yeah, kind of like from the back, just like that, on your left arm.
That's what I felt too.
But it was like jet white, extra long fingers, about as white as his hoodie.
And you looked nervous when I asked that too, as if you were like, "How did he know that?" And I thought that was kind of funny.
I was completely in shock because I was like this, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it happens. I mean, that area is rich in history, rich in trauma, and a whole bunch of stuff that's happened there. Of course, countless number of people that are buried there.
And most of us have connections to it too. Like we know some people that are buried there out of tragedy.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. That brings attention to it. Whatever's there obviously feeds on that kind of stuff. And then on the area that there is not a lot of attention is obviously like the positive area that doesn't have that so-called baggage sitting around for it to feed on. That's obvious as well.
Plus, God knows what are in the woods too.
Yeah.
The woods have a lot of stuff hanging out in there. But as far as the handful of places you've gone so far with us, why don't you tell us maybe one of your favorite places and maybe some favorite moments you've had so far?
Or like what was one of the places you went with us on that intrigues your taste for more phenomenon? Looking it up, doing the history.
This is like a hands down. It was Cabin on 360 when we were in the basement. Felt a lot of things, heard a lot of things. In a way, could see a little bit, but not as much. The one thing that kind of excited me to really dig deep into is we were doing the Estes within there, and when I was doing it, the mask that was right behind me, I saw it have like a very skinny, basically think like Dungeons and Dragons mimic
Mm.
or like a Dark Souls mimic,
Mm,
how skinny that is with the friggin' treasure chest.
mm.
It was kind of like that, but just the mask, and the mask would move. That's what shocked the hell out of me because it was right here in my face. That
I remember that moment.
it scared the shit out of me. I'll admit, but it also excited me. Like, okay, what the fuck is
Yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Those dolls freaked me out. That's what that was. I couldn't. You know what's funny is I was going back through. Yeah, I was going back through files of footage for me to edit, right? And I accidentally clicked on one of the pieces of footage from the cabin of the body cam when we put it up top, and it was facing the two dolls in that room.
Mm.
And when I turned it, like when I hit the video on accident, those dolls popped up, and I was like, huh. Like, and I sat there and I literally like, so that video is gonna freak people out because me watching that for like 5 seconds gave me goosebumps like out of nowhere, and I was just like, I can't watch this right
I mean, I have goosebumps right now. You saying that, so that means something too.
now. Yeah,
You know what
so
I mean?
I mean, we
That is
have
probably something there.
yeah, I mean we have such a backlog. So to kind of tell everybody, the audience, a little bit, kind of what we've had going on. So I just had a baby in August, and you just had a baby this month.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I've been a little bit busy. David's been busy, and David just now started joining us. He's been around since about September. I would say September,
I would say around September.
August, September, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the trip to Hollywood Cemetery was August. At the
Yeah,
end
something
there,
like that. So, you know, everything's kind of happening all at once. So our content's been a little bit behind, and I've got a backlog of stuff to work on. So we apologize for not having so much out. We're going to try and get more out for everybody. So we're excited to have you with us, and excited to go on new adventures and try new things out. We're trying to do more as far as going out to new places and like you said, chasing history, the lore of Virginia. One of our biggest missions, Chris and I, is that there's a lot in Virginia that people don't know about, and the paranormal is very rich in Virginia. And there's a lot of places from the coast to the mountains to up north to down south on the border. And a lot of people want to go to these like real famous places in Kentucky and West Virginia and Florida. And, they want to pay these thousands of dollars and spend all their money to go. But Virginia has so many places you can go to, and you don't have to spend all that money, and you don't have to drive 18 hours to go to. And so one of our biggest missions is to kind of teach people the history of Virginia, especially the paranormal, and to go to some of these places and check it out for ourselves and investigate. So we're going to try and definitely get into some more places. I know. So you said you're from the Norfolk area, right? Where's it, Newport News?
Yeah.
Norfolk. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe some lore from Norfolk? What are some of the cool places that you know of? Maybe tell us one or two of the places that you really want to go to with us and explore.
All right, so I basically looked into a few like a while ago. One of them is, like I said, it is Forest Pond Cemetery. It's the cemetery that my grandparents are currently buried at. Um, there's a few World War II veterans that are buried there, a few World War One veterans, and God, I'm trying to think of the other one. The Vietnam
Mm.
veterans as well are buried there. Some of the stones, though, are like unknown soldiers from the area. Um, the lady in white is actually walking around that area because she looks like she's from like very old war nurse outfit
Mm.
type of thing. And there's a lore that basically she's looking for her patients that she's caring for her patients and whatnot. That's why her body is still, or not body, her soul is still there, roaming around the cemetery
Mm.
if she's looking for her patients to take care of. When you see her, she's normally near like a tree or whatnot. She will look at you, notice that you're there, walk right behind the tree, and boom, she's gone.
Hmm.
Um,
I
there is,
just got a good idea about that place.
Mm.
So
yeah,
when we go there, what if one of us were to act as if we were a soldier or act as if we were injured and cry for help or whatever and see if she pops up or see if something pops up? I think that'd be kind of cool. I
I
will.
would.
I will say one thing about the lady in the white. Uh, in Virginia, mainly that I know of, there's a lot of lores about the lady in white in different houses, plantations, roads, cemeteries, but they're all different lady in whites.
Description is
Exactly.
the only thing that probably stays the same,
Like,
like how she appears to the person.
well, yeah, I mean, even lady in the white, different dresses or wedding dress or, like you said, a nursing outfit or, and so I have a theory, and I probably could be wrong, but I have a theory that what if the lady in the white is more of an entity that appears at certain areas and it appears to people in a certain manner. So that's why all these different stories happen. Or people could just be like, "Oh, I really like the lady in the white sound, so let me make my own." That could be something too. Which I mean, it's happened.
Well, I would say too, maybe it could be a connection with spirit dealing with grief. Because like where I'm from in New York, there's two spots where we have the same phenomenon.
Mm.
Right outside of 13 Curves in Liverpool, New York, and then outside of that elementary school I was sharing with you about it in Syracuse, right outside of the university. So,
what's
and
that?
then there's one in South Carolina in a famous plantation right outside of Paris Island, which is where the Marines go for training.
Yeah.
So,
what's that one road in? I think is it Virginia Beach? That long road. I believe that has a lady in the white on there too.
maybe I could check that book that you let me borrow.
Yeah, I think it's I got a number in it or something like that, but I think it has the plantation on it. The very famous one in Virginia Beach. So I'll have to remember it.
Well, I mean,
But,
supposedly, the lady we made friends with through Ed, Rhonda Harris, she does the Belgrave stuff plantation in Fredericksburg, and they have the same phenomenon too. So that'd be probably the closest place to here that has a similar phenomenon. And one person describes her in a World War II nursing outfit, and then the other one describes her in a Victorian age white dress with like the wedding shawl over her face. So
yeah, I think there's actually no. So there's a house in Chester that we were trying to get into that actually has a lady in red.
Mm.
And funny story about that. So I didn't even know about this place. Even being into paranormal, I had no idea that I was at a historical place of the paranormal. I was there because my friend had a wedding there, or a wedding reception. So basically, I show up one night to help them unload a bunch of food and stuff like that for the reception. And it's middle of the night, probably like 10 o'clock at night, and we're like bringing stuff in, right? And we're going through the back door right into the kitchen. And when you walk in, there's like curtains going into the living room, and then there's a stairwell that goes up. And it's all old pictures, all weird like Civil War time pictures. And then there's curtains closing off the left, which is like a museum style room. They have like artifacts and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I'm in there and I'm like, my goosebumps are going up, my meters are going off, and I'm like, something about this house that's just really weird. Like, this is not a normal place. Like, something's off. And I didn't see anything, but boy, did I feel stuff move around in that house. And so as we're moving stuff around, I'm like this place is weird. So anyway, go through a couple days, go through the wedding reception. We're all in there having fun, and like we would kind of randomly walk off into different rooms with each other, right? and I just had weird, eerie feelings still. Like I'm looking upstairs, I'm looking at a room where we couldn't go. It was like closed off, and I'm like, something's up there. Like I wanted to go investigate, but I was at a wedding reception, and I was one of the groomsmen, so I couldn't really do all that. And anyway, weeks later, I'm like looking up places in Virginia or whatever, and this place pops up, and I'm sitting there like, I literally was just there. And there's a history of, and I'm not going to say it for the video, what the place is, but there's a history of a lady called just Lady in the Red. And supposedly her story is that she shows up in people's photos. So when people have like wedding receptions and stuff like that, she'll randomly pop up, in people's photos. And people have like photos of her in it and stuff. And she apparently roams that house. I guess she used to live there or something like that. But she'll, when people have parties and stuff, will show up, mess with people, show them people's photos, play with stuff, mess with the lights, mess with the music, stuff like that. So a lot of DJs have had issues with their music, and kitchen staff has had issues with cooking food and stuff like that, because she'll like mess around and play with stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, there's Lady in the Red is also something too. I just thought that was kind of interesting, because like I said, there's so many places in Virginia that we don't know about, and I think Magnolia Green or whatever is like literally a few blocks from there.
Yeah.
And that's a very famous haunted place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much in Virginia that we don't. And I just learned about 2 places in Amelia recently that are literally like 3 blocks from a place that we also want to do. So I just feel like there's stuff everywhere in Virginia that either nobody knows about or hasn't learned about yet.
That, and I still feel like there's a big Native American thing that not everyone wants to touch on. You know what I mean? I mean, you see a few of those museums we went to. The museum that was at Hanover Tavern, they were touching on it a little bit.
Yeah.
The Powhatans, and the other one that's a big word you can't say. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of it. So if like we touch on it, you know, it could be a good thing.
Yeah. So I guess with you joining us now, you know, I know that you've told us kind of what you were into, what you wanted to do and stuff like that. Do you find it better that you're with a group now, that you can go out and be with other people and like-minded and kind of like work with each other and stuff like that? Or do you prefer kind of being on your own and doing it?
I prefer doing it as a group. That way there, because both of y'all know ways of protection, basically, which is something that I definitely need.
Very important.
Yeah. But having other people with you, so like just doing it solo, you never know what will happen if, or what would try and attach itself to you, or try and follow you as well. It's always better to have more people with you, so you have people that are more like-minded. You can be like, oh, hey, I saw something over there, and you can get confirmation from the other people, like, okay, let's try and debunk it. It's more of better working together with people than just like going there and being like, okay, look, guys, it doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, we definitely have gone and done stuff on our own. And then, you know, Chris and I have been going together forever to this stuff. And so we just kind of really bonded with it. And we've seen that we work really well together. And we've learned through time that we also are able to bring out stuff in others. And that was a gift that we didn't know we really had until we started being around some really big name people. You know, especially in Virginia. And that was a surprise to us. I'm pretty sure you probably said the same. I mean, so
I was like, what?
We just thought we were 2 dipshits, you know.
Yeah, like I mean, we keep saying his name, Ed. He was a big one. And Ryan noticed as well through him with that kind of thing with us.
Steve as well, Steve Dill.
Yeah. And I want to say the connection at Hanover Tavern with us and you with Steve Dills was him talking about the place you just spoke on, Greg,
Hmm.
and him having a similar experience.
Yeah.
And then when he brought it up, you're like, oh wait, I had this wedding to do. I was there too. This happened. And then
I believe so, yeah.
he touched on the fact that it is known as a historic property and it's supposed to be haunted as well. But they do the major wedding thing there, the ceremony and the after, whatever you call that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely feel blessed that we've had the opportunities to meet so many people in the paranormal, and it happened very quickly. You know, going to Paracon, I think last year was definitely eye opening and really cool for us. You know, we met some other groups. We met a guy named Austin who has his own group, Forgotten Explorations. You know, we had Ryan come out there. The freaking awesome paranormal channel. He does that podcast, which he invited us on a few times. He also let us go out there to the cabin, so we were able to check that out. So you've met Ryan. Sarah was with him, which we were on a podcast with her and Ed. We've definitely met some really awesome and cool people. Rhonda that she spoke of earlier, of course a bunch of others, so sorry if we didn't call your name out, but yeah, we definitely met some really awesome people so far, and we love the fact that we've had opportunities to go where others haven't, and that we are also creating our own opportunities. I think that a lot of teams and a lot of organizations don't try and find stuff in their backyard. You know, they try and go these very big name places because it produces so much, entertainment. It's not even that they want evidence or research or whatever else. They just want the fame. And we're not really in it for the fame. We're really in it for, learning about ourselves, learning about each other, learning about the paranormal, and investigating and researching and teaching ourselves about that world. And if, we blow up, we blow up. If we don't, we don't. I don't care. It's just, it's a way that we can be ourselves as well. And that means a lot. So, we're definitely happy to have you on board, and hopefully you feel the same way about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I hope we rub off on you because I mean I've known Greg forever, but I can't speak for him. But for me, I would say I am more confident in my spiritual gifts or things that happen to me spiritually than I am in my physical stuff. Like, job is fleeting, being able to pay bills is fleeting, but I know, like, I hear something or see that thing, I'm running towards that in that room. I'm not running away from it. So I know how to protect myself, and there's been incidences where I took chances and didn't protect myself, or sometimes there was a lot of times where it seemed weird I didn't have to. So sometimes that happens. So you just gotta sometimes go with life and roll the dice, or roll the dice with life. So
usually I'm the one that reminds him that we have to protect ourselves. So there's times where he's just wanting to run out the car as soon as we pull up and go out there. I'm like, no, we need to pray or do something, and one of the things that eventually you'll be joining us with are house calls. So you've only been with us on investigations as far as a couple really popular places, and also live events and public stuff. But the house calls is when you'll see a whole nother side of the paranormal. And when I say you see a whole nother side, it's stuff you're not ready for. And it's stuff that, people see in movies, or partially portrayed. And when you actually see it in person, you're like, what the fuck, So that's one of the next steps. We'll have to bring you on board when we have another one. So we're slowly getting you into stuff to make sure that you're prepared. We also don't want to throw you in the fire per se. Chris and I are learning that we are teachers of this. We don't like tooting our horns and saying, anything like that, but we have been shown through God or through people or whatever that apparently, we're able to help others, and that's what makes us want to do this more. So we're definitely going to make sure we go slow with you into showing you different stuff, so we don't overwhelm you, but also, don't throw you in the fire per se and have a whole bunch of crazy stuff happen, which you already had some stuff happen, but we made sure we were there, and we made sure protection was happening and stuff like that. So, I mean, as far as questions and stuff, do you have anything for us, or do you have any, um, you know, random questions you wanted to ask?
Well, honestly, not really. It's, it's basically like a hands-on learning experience
Hmm.
for me. I work a lot better when I'm hands-on.
Yeah.
I learn more faster and basically become like a sponge. I absorb it all and sticks.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel you on that.
And you like surprises, and a lot of this can give you surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can say the thing with house calls, there's two things you got to remember. You always experience one of the two, and it's either an extreme from the client's mind, and
Mm-hmm.
they're conducing, creating most of it that way. And then there's the other side of it, just like a coin. The other side is it's super negative, and you have to go to the exact source. Why, how, when, where. So,
Or it's both at the
yeah,
same time.
simultaneously.
And we've had that before, and most times that we go to stuff, it's always something new, something different's happening, something strange we haven't encountered is going on. So you learn a lot by going. And one thing people might know about the channel is they might see that we go to some of the same places. The main reason why is because of the fact that it's accessible to us. It's easy for us to get there and be a part of that area. But it's always something new happening. So entertainment wise, it may not be like, oh yeah, they're at the same place, which we haven't done it a lot, but it's happened a handful of times. Like the couple live events we went to some places we already have done a video for, like Midlothian Coal Mines. We went there in September, but then we also went there during the eclipse this year. And then there was also like our very first video ever of YouTube was when we were there. But we've also had newer equipment and newer style of stuff. I started learning how to edit a little bit better. So the video, if you go back and watch the first one, we had a couple pieces of tech, didn't really know how to mesh everything well, and then we kind of amped it up a little bit the next time we went and progressed as a team, and then we did the live event for the first time there. We feel the safest in that area, but with you on board, hopefully we can start knocking out some other new areas. I'm excited and ready for that stuff. We have some other stuff in the works too. We won't say so much just yet, but we definitely appreciate you being a newer member with us. We're excited to have you, and we are looking forward to the future. Hopefully, you are too. Um, why don't you, I guess, say, because we're wrapping up on time here, why don't you say maybe one of the places you're mostly excited to go with us on, and that's whether that's in
Um,
Virginia or anywhere.
if we could go anywhere, God, I'm trying to think because there's like a couple. uh,
Do two. Do
Yeah,
two major ones.
do a few.
two major ones. All right. All right. One would be from where I am from, and I talked to you all about it, which is the Punga Witch.
Okay.
I would like to learn more on that and try and get like the actual history of what happened with her
Hmm.
and just dive deep into it. The other one, which is the main one, the number one top, and I know that y'all are wanting to do it as well, is Williamsburg.
Mm. Mm.
I would love to just go and unravel history, but also feel the history that's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like, feel what was going on, what happened, all of that, just all happening at once. Because that would be a really fun experience for us.
Mm.
Not just because, oh, it's a big historic paranormal place, it's so where everyone go. No, I'm not wanting to go there because everyone else is going there. I'm wanting to go there because of the history that it holds.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, it can be set, because I mean I've been there personally for other things, not looking for it, but just being there. Like a couple years ago, me and my wife were just there shopping for Christmas for family and stuff. It's so thick at this shopping center several miles away from the historic attractions that you're feeling what seems like a record constantly being played from a couple of the famous world wars, and before that during like American Revolution and Civil War time, and then a current where it's like new things right beside it, and they're colliding whether you're feeling it or not, and you're there during the day. So that's why I'd want to go. That, and I'd try to find a way to leave the country and visit the Hellfire Club locations, Scotland and Ireland. Probably that hill that a famous people on TV went to in Ireland probably would
That'd
be one.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Williamsburg is definitely on our list of places to go to. I think a good thing with networking with other people too is a good way for us to get into some of these places. One thing that we try and teach others is respect, especially for the places you go to and in the paranormal world. We've learned that the paranormal community is definitely a little dramatic, and some people have tight groups and stuff, and so we're working around that and learning our ways. But we love working with others, and we enjoy going to new areas and discovering stuff about ourselves and others as well. The more I go on investigations with Chris all the time, learn new stuff as far as like how we can work and things that he can do, things I can do, things that other people can do, and bring them on board. So I've enjoyed seeing how other people develop. So seeing you go with us on a couple different investigations so far, we've seen you develop in different ways. Save, another buddy of ours who is going to be trying to join Shadows Abound as well. He was going to be here with us tonight, but he ended up having some stuff happen. He got a little busy, so we're going to try and get him on next time. But he's also developed, and we've seen that a handful of times. You guys have been together on a few already, and Ed, we've talked about him. He's gone to a couple things with us, and we've seen how he's developed, and he's been doing this crap longer than us. So, it happens to everybody. So we are excited to have you with us, and we're excited to see you evolve and develop into, learning a little bit more about yourself in the paranormal. And we're excited to kind of start off a new era, if you will.
A new chapter.
Yeah, it's just been just Chris and I for the longest time. So, you being the third wheel, I wouldn't say that.
I mean, I always felt like we were waiting for a natural family member, either from my family or his, and we've known each other's forever. So we figured it would be someone like that, and we would have an instant connection. But instead, we had the instant connection with you, which would be considered the outsider that we can call brother. So I think that's why it worked out so well. So, and the same thing for Save. Yeah. Save is a good one too, because he's a different generation. He's younger than all three of us. He has a whole fourth different way of looking at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So,
and we're excited to build this team up even more than what we have. Chris and I started with, screw it, let's just get some equipment and put it online, and other people can see how we do stuff. And that would, like, literally we went out and bought like a crappy ass camera, and I think like one or two pieces of tech.
I want to say the spirit box and your headphones and a flashlight.
Well, headphones I think I already had. I think we spent like maybe less than $300 just to get started. And that camera, I still have it, but it sucks. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy we bought the new one. But we just got started. We got tired of doing it and then not being able to show the world kind of how we see things. And I think connection is a big thing why we wanted to do it. We wanted to connect with others. We wanted others to see us and be like, oh, I can do it too, or oh, that's how I feel, or something like that along those lines. So I'm hoping that you feel the same way as far as getting into the field and growing with us, that you will see that we're able to help others out, and hopefully we can do some really cool ass stuff alongside you. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
I'm looking forward to the future.
Well, I mean, I will say this. I feel something for the future already. Like something to do with the people we already mentioned that we've made connections and friendships with through a location in Virginia known as Staunton. I really feel like there's something there for us, for that other gentleman's group and the group that we're a part of with him on. And I want to say, something that he has ties with in Charlottesville as well. So,
which I just learned about a new place in Staunton, and it involves the doctor, which I think we talked about, the doctor from the Civil War, who Mr. Hitler, evil man that he is, took different experiments from this doctor and started doing stuff. That's how batshit crazy this guy was. So mass burials in the front yard type stuff of patients, like just, oh, he died, I couldn't save him, like threw him in the yard type thing. So this hospital, whatever it is like supposedly is super haunted. So I'm trying to get more information on that about going in there, because apparently that place is very amped up. So we want to go to these places that are super like wild and insane. Some of it is so crazy that people want to charge crazy amounts to get into. So some of those places are going to take us a while to get into just because of funds. But we're going to try and find more stuff from where you're from where we're from, different areas, and hopefully get a lot more online. So we're happy for this new era, and we're excited to have you on. But other than that, we're glad to have you tonight, and we'll probably be ending this podcast here in a second because we're already over 50 minutes.
Whoa, it's an hour almost.
So, but anything else you want to talk about, or any questions or anything like that?
I have nothing else.
Cool. All right. Well,
Just
we.
looking forward to the future.
Oh yeah. Well, how about you, Chris?
Something I learned, and it'd be some good advice for David, is if you're in one of those modes at nighttime where you definitely know you can't sleep, but the newborn is asleep, sound asleep, don't do any of the phenomenon researching or anything like that in the same room with the newborn. Keep them separate.
Yeah, I have never really been searching on it.
Or if the baby's asleep, this is coming from a newborn father and old father as well, get some sleep yourself. Because when that baby wakes up, there is no sleep.
I have a wife that likes to slap me around a little bit. Hey, get your daughter every 2-3 hours.
Yeah, and your baby's going to do this thing to where it discovers it has hands, and then it starts smacking its face, or it'll wake up and it'll go like this, and it'll start going like that, and then it wakes itself up, and then now you have an awakened baby. So,
yeah.
And then what I have to do is I have to take the hands, and I have to hold it down on the chest, so I put my hand on the chest, and then it goes back to sleep. But if I don't, I don't know why.
Well, we have her swaddled to where her hands are like that.
Yeah.
Or just like that on her.
You have to swaddle. Because they don't know they have hands. So they also will freak themselves out when they first do this and they see their hands. It freaks them out. They don't know what they are. I learned that recently. So that's kind of funny. They also, when they start learning ears, they start doing this number a lot. And they start figuring out that they have ears back there. So sometimes they'll literally will grab it, like death grab. And you have to kind of like pull their hand off of it, or they'll try and rip their ear off.
She's already 2 weeks and she's already doing most of these things.
Oh yeah, no, it happens quick. So.
Or or you and your significant other arguments. Try to keep the arguments in another place away from the baby. And obviously, sometimes they mistakenly happen around the baby or in front of the baby. But try more harder, or have the intent to try not to intentionally do it near the baby. That helps. Or
noise in general.
Noises, or constant positive vibes. Stay positive specifically for the baby. if nothing else.
Mm.
All that helps for what we talked about in the beginning.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end the podcast, just because, like I said, it's almost an hour now. But we appreciate everything, and we are happy to have you on board, like we said. And we're gonna hopefully do some more of these as well, get some more content out, and we will see you on the next one, sir.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on the next video. Have a good night.